Hey, the playoffs are here. Wild card weekend is upon us. 6 big games coming up. Can't wait to break it all down with Connor. We're going to give our Super Bowl picks. We're going to give our game picks. How are you, Connor?
I'm fantastic. We did really well last week, Phil. I hope everyone bet everything. I actually went perfect last week.
I was going to say 12 hits on 14 picks. You cannot do much better. Actually, Nate, now that betting is legal in Ohio, followed my picks, and he hit all the ones he followed. The one I missed, he didn't tail, so good for him.
I should have parlayed. I should have listened to myself last week and parlayed everything.
Are you going to parlay everything this week?
Probably not. There's a lot better teams in the playoffs. I would suggest.
Are there, though? We're going to get into this, and there are some that are not very good.
And unfortunately, the Lions are not in.
R.I.P. They deserve to be here. But
they would have been my sleeper Super Bowl pick.
And it's all Baker Mayfield's fault. Ruined the Browns, ruins the Lions.
I couldn't believe that.
I thought they had it too.
Yeah, that was weird.
Here we are now. Instead, we just get to be sad.
Overtime. I forgot. Yeah, he threw a pick to a wide open Van Jefferson. Underthrew him by about 15 yards. Baker sucks. I hope he doesn't play another game ever. I can't believe he even is. He's an NFL quarterback.
Welcome to the bandwagon I've been driving ever since he was on the Browns.
He sucks.
He
got rid of Sean Payton. He's the worst.
Dude, I got so much hate when I was telling everyone Baker Mayfield is trash. His ceiling is Kirk Cousins. And everyone's like, no, dude, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Go Baker. I love Baker. Baker. And then here we are now. And all those Browns fans who hated Baker and got him kicked out of Cleveland last year, now they're saying get Stefanski out.
He torpedoed Oklahoma after he left because Lincoln had Kyler and then he left. Mm-hmm. And then he torpedoed the Browns. He torpedoed the Panthers. And now he torpedoed the Rams.
The Panthers might have been a playoff team, right?
If Darnold didn't blow out his ankle.
If Baker doesn't go 0-4 or whatever to start the year.
Yeah, actually, yes, because they would have won the crappy whatever that is.
They would have beat the Browns in week 1, maybe. Awkward. All right, let's get to it. That's enough rambling about things that have happened. We're going to start looking forward to things that are coming. Number 1 is Lamar Jackson. All right. So, Roquan Smith gets paid. I think he's making, 5 years, $100 million, something like that. Ridiculous highest paid linebacker in the NFL. I'm not saying the contract isn't worth it, but when you have your QB sitting there asking for money, I think it's a really bad move to give money to people that aren't him.
Well, you can do both. You can do both.
Oh, it's just a hierarchical thing. You pay the quarterback first, the former MVP, the man who carried your offense, and the second he got hurt, you just started tanking games. That guy, you should give him a big old check.
All right, so let's look at guaranteed money, though. Let's look at guaranteed money contracts. How many of them, highest, top 5, I'll give you a guess. How many are in the playoffs this year? How many? One guess. 0. All right, I'm not going to 0. So
I knew that one.
So I can tell you, I'm not saying that don't pay him, but this is a terrible, terrible time. I would say good time for him to hold out, but terrible time to be a GM because you just watched Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, and I'm trying to remember the fourth, Kyler Murray. All either, unfortunately, get hurt. Oh, man. And unfortunately, Kyler was running on that play, which looks optically terrible. So he tore his ACL. Fine. Aaron Rodgers didn't make playoffs. Matt Stafford, IR. Who was the fourth? Who did I say was the fourth?
Kyler. No.
No, I said Stafford.
Watson.
Missed half the season.
Doesn't count. Looked awful in his 6 games.
So, I can understand why they're holding back, but you've also went 1-4, 2-4 since he got hurt. So he's making his case loud and clear, but I don't know their cap situation. It's all going to be guaranteed money. We're pretty darn close. That's what he's holding out for, or at least the highest guaranteed money ever. But do you have the freedom? Is what's his name? Greg Roman going to stay? Probably, right? Like, he's not going anywhere. I think you have to pay him. You have to just deal with it. Yeah, I don't.
Well, so like the big thing to your point, like guaranteed money is always a big deal when you're talking. Oh, someone could get hurt, but I don't think people understand. Even though these are billionaires, if you write someone, I've mentioned it before at least. If you say someone gets guaranteed $200 million, that money comes immediately out of your assets or your cash or something somewhere. You have to put aside in escrow $200 million for this person.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons where he's just like, I do not have the funds available.
Well,
I need some time.
That's why the Raiders can't get rid of Josh McDaniels. To your point, if you remember, they are quote unquote cash poor. That doesn't mean Mark Davis doesn't have dollar bills in his bank account. It means he has so much guaranteed money tied up to Josh McDaniels, Derek Carr,
John Gruden.
John Gruden still, that he doesn't have the assets besides the team to cover up going out and, by the way, using dead money if you cut Josh McDaniels. So people say, they're cash poor right now. That's because they have made some very poor decisions. So Lamar gets hurt, and I get it. I think you got to do it. I think you got to pay him. But it's not this whole thing like, oh, just pay the man. He's clearly worth it. We always have this. I always have this debate with other, some high school buddies. Is it worth one Super Bowl? Is blowing now? This is a guy who is a Rams fan. Is blowing up the rest of the next decade to get a Super Bowl worth it? He would tell you yes. I don't know if all GMs and owners believe that.
The Browns went through 20 years of misery, and let me tell you, if we got one Super Bowl and still had 20 years of misery around it, that would be worth it to me.
So your fan base says yes. Your fan base wants you to take Lamar.
That's a good point, because the fan base says that, and I remember it's like the Cleveland Indians. We love our Indians, but we don't want to pay. We don't want to pay for expensive tickets, so they can't have a big payroll because they can't charge you to get your butt in the seat.
I don't know anything about Baltimore's fan base. I know very little about Baltimore's fan base, so hard for me to say anything about the fan base because I just don't know. It makes it, like I said, if they're what are they, second, third tier? They're not. They can't be a second tier. Baltimore's a pretty large city. You're relatively close to DC. A lot of people, I gotta believe that they're a pretty valuable franchise, right?
No idea.
So,
all right. So let's ask this question instead. Then
I don't know.
The NFC is jokes at quarterbacks. Look at the quarterbacks in the playoffs right now. What we got: Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith. And amongst the superstars that didn't make it, Aaron Rodgers had a rough year. Jared Goff was arguably one of the best quarterbacks. I think he had 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Kyler Murray. It is very, very weak. If Lamar went to the NFC, he would be the best at quarterback in that conference. Do you think, I think NFC teams would love the opportunity to bring him in, particularly the Giants, if they could get a player like him.
I think that's one of the best fits, in my opinion. I think Giants would be probably the best fit because that's not true. That's not true. I like the Jets better because they have everything ready to go. They don't have to go out and get another wide receiver or they don't have to go out and go, oh, man, we need X, Y, and Z piece. The Giants have a lot of holes on offense. In my opinion, the Jets have the ability to really just go. They get Breece Hall back. Brees, Garrett Wilson. I know people don't like him, and he might be a casualty, but Corey Davis was decent this year. They have Elijah Moore. I mean, guys that everyone says that offense has been tailored to him that we know of so far. Nobody's really let Lamar loose on the passing game front. Lamar has never had weapons like Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, quite frankly, Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama, Brees Hall. Does that change? Like, can Lamar do that? Can he do that where he's like, hey, I don't have to do everything. I need to hit guys in stride. I need to be accurate with my passes. That's the question mark. That's what everybody wants to know.
So, like, when you say the offense is tailored to him, all I think is the Eagles' offense around Jalen Hurts. Now, I think Lamar is a better runner and passer than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a more physical runner, but, like, you know, in the open field, I'd rather have Lamar. At the goal line, give me Hurts. But when you see their offense, yeah, there's a lot of RPO, quick hitting things, but I feel like their offense is predicated on getting receivers downfield and using the whole field, opening up throwing lanes as well as opening up running lanes for Jalen Hurts. So if you run a conventional offense and you're a West Coast style offense with Lamar Jackson, you're completely wasting the value that is, I drop back, I can bust out of the pocket, and now I have room for a 10-yard run. So I don't like when people argue that you should put him in and make him a conventional passer. Defenses should try to do that. But like offenses, your goal should be to get the field as open as possible and use your speed instead of your precision to burn people.
So two things. I would say, no, he's not a better passer than
Hurts.
He has 62% and a career 63% passer percentage accuracy. This year, Jalen Hurts has almost 67%.
Jalen Hurts has a 6th overall pick, and A.J. Brown is receiving targets.
Stop! No, stop! Come on, watch a game. Watch a game. He's putting it on ropes in people's chests because
If I'm playing basketball and there's a 7'3" dude underneath the hoop with the 6'2" dude guarding him, I'm chucking threes and letting that dude get all the rebounds left and right. You know? Jalen Hurts can throw it because he has receiving options to throw to. Lamar Jackson has never had someone he's confident in throwing the ball to besides Mark Andrews. But that's different.
Different route tree. You're talking about different depth of target. I have not, from what I've seen, I have not seen Lamar.
Is Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. You saw the confidence. Aaron Rodgers could throw it, and he threw it loosely, freely, and comfortably, and it was in the right spot, Devontae Adams, to make a play. No, he doesn't do that with anyone else. He forces it too hard, and he made bad throws. He did not look as good this year because he didn't have someone you can be like, all right, I got this. I'm going to put the ball right here. I can be comfortable and relaxed throwing it, knowing my guy's going to make a play. So I just think he needs someone to get some confidence with. Josh Allen needed it with Stephon Diggs. I mean, Mahomes had it with both of his guys, or Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And then Joe Burrow, he is fortunate enough that he had a small season with like AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, which was a good receiving group. But then he got Jamar Chase right away coming off his torn ACL, and you could see the comfort there. So I don't know. I just think if you believe in the person on the other end, you are going to be a much better quarterback than if you are like, here goes nothing. I need to be perfect because I know he can't help me. And that's what Jalen Hurts has with A.J. Brown. Makes him a better guy. Standing by it.
I don't know how to describe it, but just watch Lamar's misses. Not the ones that make, not the makes. Watch the misses. We're talking, we'll watch it. Well, we won't watch it this week.
I was going to say we'll watch it next year when he plays for the Giants and wins MVP.
I think there's a stats that PFF does every once in a while. I don't know if I can find it, but like catchable balls, right? How many of those is Lamar throwing versus Hurts versus Josh Allen in his first couple of years. I don't know. He just is not, to me. 60% in the NFL, if you have nothing else, will get you out of the league real fast. He's at 63. So 62.5, I think is what it was. So I don't know, man. I'm not convinced. I think he is a franchise player. I think you tag him, or not tag him. I think you give him the money. But grass isn't always greener. I just don't know if he goes somewhere else, he's going to continue to have the success. I think they're a marriage that needs to happen, and they need to stay that way. But, man, I don't. It's too much unknown to go somewhere else. I think the fit has to be there where it's. I would much rather have someone like a Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore scenario than Saquon Barkley and no one else scenario.
I agree. But I also think if the Giants aren't stupid, they'll start to fix it because they got to realize they got their coach, and this was supposed to be their year of cap crap and solving that. All right, that's enough of that. We'll see who's right. One day, people will believe that Lamar is actually a solid throwing quarterback. He's not just legs. All right, here we go. I am pulling up now conference championship and Super Bowl odds. I'll be sharing my screen, Connor, so you can see it. But we are going to be just, last year we did it. We made our picks. We looked really good, too. I think you had the Bengals as your sleeper pick to win the Super Bowl, which they got real close. I had the 49ers, who also was a road wildcard team and came out and almost, they almost made the Super Bowl. So we'll see if we can get hot like that again. We'll start out giving our real picks, and then we'll come back with, sleeper guys. So starting off in the AFC, just looking here, I think it's obvious. This conference is, clinched for the next 3 years by Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow. These odds are ridiculous, man. Like the Chargers, Jags, and Ravens, Dolphins, it's like they're not even real teams.
Loaded. I mean, every single one of these teams, top 3 teams in the AFC, take your pick. Depends on what you get. I just think if you watch the games, the Bengals have never flinched against Buffalo Bills or the Chiefs. Chiefs actually lost to the Bengals and the Bills this year. And somehow ended up as the one. We can talk about the coin flip scenario, but we don't need to.
We'll know about that next week when we need to, or in the conference championship, whenever we need to know it.
I think the Bengals have done enough. Despite Zach Taylor, and I'm telling you, that is the wild card. I don't care. But there are 2 things that I think the Bengals are better at this year. Their offensive line is better. Serviceable. They lost La'el Collins, another wild card, but their defense is better this year. Their defense, despite Eli Apple, their defense is better this year. They're what? Top half in pretty much almost all categories. I definitely think they're top 10 run defense. Unfortunately, neither of these teams, Kansas City or the Bills, run the ball very much. But they can play shootout. And as crazy as this sounds, I think that when they play either of those 2 teams, takes the game script out of Zach Taylor's hands and puts it in Joe Burrow's hands. And I would much rather have that, because if he plays Kansas City or the Bills, they are going to put up points. And it forces him to say, Joe Burrow, go win me the game. Joe Burrow. Oh, wait, you have Jamar Chase. You have T. Higgins. You have Hayden Hurst. You have Joe Mixon, who's a very solid receiving running back. And you have Tyler Boyd. Go win me the game, because that's the only way. We're not going to go up by 50 on these and let me go up by 50 and then do what I did against the Ravens last week, which is go up by 27 and then, run the ball and of a sudden you have T. Higgins has a drop, and then you go 3 and out, and then you go 3 and out. You can't do that against Kansas. You have to play pedal to the metal. So I'm with the Bengals this year. I still believe in Joe Burrow. I think they're going to be my favorite this year, and my wild card.
We'll get to the wild card. You breathe.
Fine,
I got this.
fine.
Listen, Josh Allen is such a wild card that I think he has to make the Bills the third out of those 3 teams. It's just one of those things where you watch him, he throws away too many games. He kind of tried to throw last week against the Patriots. It's just fortunate that Nyheim Hines came through with 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Like, I don't know what happened to Josh Allen, the superstar, the first 8 weeks, who looked completely unstoppable throwing and running. But it's just one of those things where if that guy shows up, that team they'll win the Super Bowl. But I'm with you. The Bengals have been surprisingly good defensively, and I still think I've been on it like all year. They don't have cornerbacks. Eli Apple's their number 1 corner. It's atrocious. If there was a Stephon Diggs going against them, he would absolutely wreck them, in my opinion. But they may be able to keep up in a shootout. That's the only reason I don't like the Chiefs versus the Bengals, is because they don't have that outside threat. I mean, you're talking Kadarius Toney is maybe the best playmaker on the outside for the Chiefs, but he's only in there for like 5 or 6 gadget plays a game until he gets brought up to speed with the offense. MVS is running down the field as fast as he can and getting ball. Like him, you can tell him and Mahomes aren't on the same page. They haven't had that connection. But then other than that, like Kelsey, the Bengals scheme him out of games phenomenally. I think he's had under like 40 yards in the last 2 games they've played. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, there's just nothing that scares me about the Chiefs versus the Bengals. Like if they had Tyreek Hill, I think it would be a harder matchup, but they don't have that outside threat that I think they would need. And I know Mahomes has 5,600 yards and 45 touchdowns and is record breaking and winning the MVP this year. But we said that about like Aaron Rodgers the last 2 years. So I think that's the only flaw in the Chiefs, is that they need an outside guy. And I think Tony has the skill set to do it when that time comes. But I'm with you. I hate it. I don't want to take the Bengals, but I think you should. So let's go on to the NFC now. This is just, I was texting Ken about this. This is a crapshoot to me. I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening anywhere. And yeah, give the Eagles and the 49ers the best odds. But when you look at their teams, you're like, yeah, dude, the Eagles are severely flawed if Jalen Hurts isn't healthy next week. The 49ers are still starting Brock Purdy. I don't know what that means in a competitive game. And the Cowboys just got humiliated. You make your pick, because my mind's just blown on this NFC, situation in general.
So then in reality, who do you pick? What coaches do you pick then? Are you in on Shanahan or are you in on Sirianni? I'm not in on Sirianni. I am torn on Jalen Hurts. I'm picking total like strategically high level here. Do I pick Shanahan despite Purdy or despite Purdy? Nobody's touching Dallas. Nobody's touching Minnesota. It's really a two team race here. It's a 2-horse race here. Do you pick Philly or do you pick San Francisco? Nobody believes any of the other teams will be even remotely close in serviceable. So, to me, I'm picking the best defense. I'm going with San Francisco. I'm saying that San Francisco gets and plays the Eagles, and I'm saying Shanahan is going out schemes Shane Steichen and Sirianni. I think you can make the argument that we've made all year long about Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. They were 3-4. They're now 12-4 or 13-4, whatever it was. We said that, and we said the ability for them to just use anybody against anybody on their offense versus anybody on your defense, win. I don't think the Eagles have that. So I'm going with the 49ers here.
All right, just so we don't completely agree again, I think they're the best team. They're the best coached and all that. You covered it pretty well. They have the most talent. Brock Purdy's the only question is really what's happening here. If they had Jimmy Garoppolo, as depressing as that sounds, I say, yeah, this team has a free pass to the Super Bowl. But just so I don't, piggyback off, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know. Their offense is atrocious, and their defense is up and down. They don't seem like they can do anything right. Just looking at these teams, they're the only team, if you look at everything they need and everything you would want in a team, they check all the boxes at least. They got great corners. They have a solid linebacking core. Their defensive front hasn't had a pass rush, but it still has Vita Vea, can still make some noise.
You're totally forgetting about the most important thing in any Super Bowl run, and that's the offensive line. And the Bucs have an awful offensive line.
I was going to say, okay, now just let me finish, because like I said, I'm with you on the 49ers, all right? I don't want to hype up the Eagles. They're the favorite. You're going to see people picking them everywhere. But anyways, the Buccaneers, they have good receivers. They have Tom Brady. They have Rachaad White, who is a good burst back. However, like you said, they don't have a great offensive line. But they do have, like, a couple good players. I can't remember their names at the moment. I'm sorry. But, like, Tristan Wirfs, he's a good tackle. Donovan Smith, not a bad tackle. But I know they haven't played well, and they haven't looked good. I'll give you that. But at plus 1,100 odds, I think you could do worse than saying Tom Brady gets hot. They play the Cowboys the first round, and I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to stop the Cowboys' run, force Dak to throw, and you're going to see exactly what happened last week, take 2. Cowboys' offense just stutters to a halt, and Tom Brady just needs, 14, 17 points to win the first game. Then you got Tom Brady versus, I think, actually, I don't even know. He might end up versus the 49ers. That's Tom Brady versus Brock Purdy, but that's a favorable matchup. The Eagles, though, could be a problem because I think Jalen Hurts.
You know what's not a favorable matchup? Nick Bosa versus Donovan Smith. That's not a good matchup. Donovan Smith has the most holding penalties in the NFL, I think, this year.
All right, yeah, that's a good point. But listen, hear me out. I needed to pick someone different. All right, so I just went with Bengals versus Buccaneers just to be different. All right, so let's go. You have the Bengals versus the 49ers. Who's winning your Super Bowl?
I think the Bengals get it done. As crazy as that sounds, I just think the Bengals get it done. I don't know why. I really do actually believe in Joe Burrow. I do think he is the next one up. He's the next man up. I'm telling you, I hate saying that. And I also, side note, I am biased because I hate picking what everybody else picks. I don't want to hear about Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to hear about Josh Allen. I think the Bengals have been under the radar, and as crazy as it sounds, I think there's a fire lit under them with the garbage that happened to them. I really do believe that. I think you can catch fire at the right times, and I think they're going to do it again. Joe Burrow got some of his, he had a lull there where he was kind of ugly, throwing picks, and I think he's got that out of his system. Jamar's healthy, T's healthy. Time to suit up. And I think that they will. I think that their defense is healthy now, too. So,
speaking of guys who need to get a head coaching job, Bengals defensive coordinator. We mentioned they don't have cornerbacks, and he does a great job of scheming to protect them. And getting his players to play disciplined. But anyways, I'm with you. I hate doing it, but at some point you just got to believe in Joe Burrow.
Where's mine? Oh,
gosh, it's so funny because Nate asked me in the middle of the season, and I think we both were down on the Bengals when they were 7-4, maybe 6-4, and saying what do they have? And they just have the offensive weapons that you want. They have so many different ways to beat you. The only thing stopping them is Zach Taylor, but against good offensive teams, he's not going to shoot himself in the foot.
He can't.
Yeah. It's we need to score, and it being up by 7 isn't enough, and at least he knows that aspect. It's when he plays bad teams and he's up by 10, he thinks he can run the clock out. Anyways, I hate agreeing with you. I hate going back on something I said in the middle of the season, but here we are.
It's weird because in the middle of the season, I don't know if we
We
don't
weren't
remember
excited about them. That's
yeah,
for sure.
I don't remember what the reason was. They were like a 500 team. Joe Mixon comes out and says, "When we get this figured out, I don't want anybody jumping back on our bandwagon." It's like, okay, maybe don't suck. I don't know what to tell you. Like, people are going to jump off and on as much as they want because people are going to get new information and then say, "Wow, the stats say you guys are not good at football right now."
Hey, we were driving the bandwagon last year, so I guess
Yeah,
the thing is, we're like, I know we're Cincinnati fans and stuff, and the easy layups. I told you why I don't want to take the Bills. The easy layup is to take the Chiefs and the Eagles. We clearly don't want to do that. You're going to hear that on every talk show about how they're the best teams. So when you go to look through the other options, like you said 49ers, I actually think that's a great pick. The Cowboys, I think that's a terrible pick if someone said that. I said the Buccaneers just because if you look like of the teams at plus 2,000 odds, I actually think they do have the best chance of all those teams to do something. So it's just looking at the Super Bowl, at the playoff teams this year. I'm very underwhelmed with a lot of them, and I'm thinking there are 4 true contenders, and that is Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, 49ers, and then if you're going, outside chance of that, I would say the Buccaneers. But now let's ignore that and let's go straight up crazy things that we don't expect to happen. Who's your wild card? Like what? This is a team that I didn't expect to make a run. Your dark horse,
darkest of dark, like almost no chance of happening, but still.
Who was your Bengals last year?
Dude, I was an early adopter on the Bengals. I'm going Doug Peterson, man. Again, another bias.
Hold up. Didn't someone on the show say they could win the AFC South in the preseason and said you should bet that if you could? You're welcome.
I mean,
that was my team.
I think it was me.
That was me. No. I was high on the Jaguars from the preseason on.
Listen, I'm pretty sure, I don't think I was saying that they could win the South, but I think I said they could be a playoff team.
I think you said that too, and I think we agreed when I brought up the Jags as one of my favorite teams to bet to make the playoffs. You immediately probably said the Lions, though, and we were like, yeah, 2 great options.
Minus last week, which I watched the majority of the Titans-Jags game. I mean, Trevor looked bad in last week's game, but I don't think that the Chargers. It's kind of weird because they opened with another team that I said is a dark horse team that I said to watch out for. Chargers could be in and they could be dangerous. So, however, Brandon Staley just probably either I made one of the dumbest decisions. No bearing in any game. Didn't look to sit his starters. Potentially lost Mike Williams for this game. I think that hurts more than people want to give him. Herbert struggled earlier this year pretty badly because he didn't have his comfort food, which was Keenan Allen, but he also showed that when Mike Williams is there, he is going to lean on him too. He's not going to do that.
You might say Mike Williams is the kind of receiver Lamar Jackson would need.
I wouldn't say that, but you got to be all cylinders when you get to the playoffs. And the defense for the Jags looked fantastic last week. I think Trevor Lawrence rebounds this week. We'll get to our picks, but I think Trevor Lawrence rebounds this week. And holy cow, man, kudos to the GM for the Jags. 3 new receivers. 2 out of 3 of them are having career. All 3 of them are having career years. Kirk had over 1,100 yards. Ingram had a career high in yards and receptions, and Zay Jones, career high yards and receptions. I just don't know anything about their offensive line. I mean, it's kind of weird because ETN can disappear forever, and then he can bust out a 100-yard run. I don't know. So, dark horse, I'm going Jags.
All right. My dark horse has been the team that has been battle-tested for being a dark horse all year long. I picked them to make it to the Super Bowl in the preseason. I probably should have talked about them as the team I think is going to make it. But give me the Minnesota Vikings.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. I know. Everyone's over here like, dude, Kirk Cousins, he's going to have to play a game that starts 4 o'clock or later. And you're right. I know it's not great, but the Vikings have 2 good pass rushers, and they have 2 good corners on defense. I have no idea how the rest of their defense is garbage. You can play man outside, and you can rush 2, but yet
they play a cover 2 shell, and then they kind of play cover 3 sometimes. It's kind of weird. They don't press. They kind of let everything stay in front of them.
It's terrible. It's terrible coaching. It's the exact opposite of the Bengals. But no, and then we've seen Justin Jefferson just go to a complete, I think he is maybe the best receiver in the NFL, but I also think it's not to the point where he is clearly the best receiver in the NFL. I think week to week it rotates kind of thing, right? But he shows that when he is hot, I think he is he can go beyond to another level that anyone else can. Yes, Tyreek Hill can, flip a game with 70-yard touchdowns, but Justin Jefferson, when you watch what he did against the Bills, and it was, Kirk Cousins getting smacked, throwing it straight up, and Jefferson making play after play after play. I don't think anyone can take over a game the way that he can. Maybe Devontae Adams, but it just haven't had the opportunities or whatever. I think this offense, it has weapons. For some odd reason, Dalvin Cook just disappears and can't run the ball, but KJ Osborne's emerging as a secondary receiving threat. TJ Hawkinson's a good receiver. Irv Smith's coming back. They are having a way just to play.
I'm back.
Don't worry. I'm so happy that they just added the ability to clip this before I download it. So it's so nice that as of 2 weeks ago we got this. All right. Connor left because his computer sucks. We're going to break it one day. Anyways, we are back. We're going to be going to our picks now. So, Connor, I think we just go through each game. There's 6 games total. We can talk more and less about them.
Fun fact for everyone, we're picking every game this week.
We are going to pick every game. Do you know why? Because we know what's going to happen. And why would we withhold correct bets from you? We should give you all the information for every game, every time. We just don't have that. All right, here we go. Games kick off Saturday, I think 4 o'clock, with the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Seahawks are 9.5-point favorites. Total is 42.5. We agree on this one. I'll let you tell the people our pick.
It's great. It's great because Geno Smith made the Pro Bowl, and he's really great, and that's awesome. They're playing at San Francisco, and I think they put up 13 last time they played San Francisco. Not a great look. I'm just not betting against this defense. I'm just not going to do so. And so I don't think they give up a ridiculous amount. And I think Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he wants to put too much on Purdy's plate. I just have a feeling that he's going to be leaning more on the other guys. I don't think there's going to be I think he's going to lean on McCaffrey. I think he's going to lean on, well, we don't have to go down the list. We know the list of all pros that they have on their team. I think he's going to not ask Purdy to go win a game, which means he may not be running, up-tempo, speed, 2-minute drills, trying to score as many points as possible. I think he's just going to let Geno turn back into Geno. Beginning of the year, he was unbelievable. Middle of the year, still pretty good. End of the year, Geno kind of started to fall off a little bit. Don't think they put up points. Niners, I think they're getting healthy. They're getting even when Jarrett Stidham put up 33 on them, I still think that's a fluke. So under all day.
Yeah. This is a game where I could see the Seahawks walking away with 10 or under points, and the 49ers just grounding and pounding and saying, on to next week, we're just going to thank you for stopping by. I don't know what else to say besides the Seahawks haven't been good. They're talking 13, 10, 23, 19 points in their last 4 weeks. I mean, the 23 against the Jets, though, that's where they popped off, right? They had 3 picks on their side, like on the Jets side of the field. So that was created by their defense, not by their offense. I don't know what happened, but the magic is not there that they had at the beginning of the year. I know Ken Walker's nice, but he's just too much of a home run threat. And against a good defense, I think they're just going to take that away and force him to be, 3-4 yards a carry. But he can't do that. That's not his skill set. He's 100 yards or none.
Back. And I think Shanahan can sometimes fall under I'm way smarter than you. I'm going to scheme a set of plays for my guy Elijah Mitchell, and he's a bruiser. So, he's going to get into that. I think he's going to try and get everybody to touch the ball, which doesn't mean you're getting your best players the ball all the time, every time. And I think that's going to be just fine for him because he'll ground and pound it and waste clock and let his defense beat up on Geno.
Yep. I wish there was more to say than the Seahawks haven't been a good team. I think we've mentioned it. We've been underwhelmed with them. I don't know how they beat the Jets. That was like Mike White just tanking that game. First time ever.
Yeah.
And then they eked out against the Rams in overtime. And
the Rams.
That's the third string offense on the Rams, in case you weren't sure who was playing. I don't know if Donald was on the field. So it also, I guess Jalen Ramsey got that unnecessary roughness too to get them into field goal range. It's just one of those things when you look at it, it's embarrassing. Well, not embarrassing, but it's just they haven't been the hot team that was 6-3 and looking like, we might win the division. No, they're done. The 49ers, I think, just come in and are bigger, faster, stronger. There's nothing else about it. But anyways, that's how you kick off the playoff weekend. But then you actually get a game you want to watch. Chargers versus Jaguars Saturday night.
I'm so torn on this. I hate it because these are both teams where I was like, hey, I think Jacksonville could be a playoff team. And I think if the Chargers get hot, watch out. Given the fact that they have Mike Williams and, everyone else on the team, blah, 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 blah. We can go ahead and we just talked about it. But I think Doug Peterson has been here before. Why do you go get Doug Peterson? He's won a Super Bowl before. He also turned your entire offense around. So I think Brandon Staley, I think the lights come on, and I think he overthinks things and doesn't necessarily. I don't see him being super committed to what he does sometimes. I think he just says, numbers say we do this, and we're going to do this. And I've got Justin Herbert, and you don't. Well, in regular season games, Trevor Lawrence isn't staring at you on the other side. Baker Mayfield might be. Or, I don't know, insert crappy QB here. And Mac Jones. There you go, Mac Jones. It doesn't happen here. I think he is going to make one or two decisions that just really hurt his team in this one. I will be willing to bet that Doug Peterson does not. So, give me the Jags and give me the points. Might as well.
Yeah, Jags as a home underdog. I think the Jaguars are a fan base similar to the Browns. They can disappear when you're bad, but when you're good, they come out swinging. Like, they are a rowdy, loud bunch. They get excited for their team when there is something to root for. And I think now they have Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to have something to root for a long time. I was high on him in the preseason. I loved him. I was buying him up in fantasy when people were cutting him, and it paid off for me. The Chargers they seem too much like the Vikings, where we're going to hope that we have the ball last and we could win the game. And we're not going to, try to beat you in the first 3 quarters. We're going to try to stay close enough. The Jags, on the other hand, I think, Doug Peterson's a good coach. He tries to find every edge he possibly can. And if he needs to turn to Trevor Lawrence late, and they did throughout the year a couple times, it works out. So I think the Jaguars, just like you said, they're just better coached. If you're talking talent, I think the Chargers have more of it. I think these rosters are actually kind of similar. You have solid pass rushers on both sides. You have, solid receivers, a good kind of pass catching back. And at the end of the day, which quarterback can be better? I think either one of these can, hit top flight talent, better than good enough to beat Mahomes, good enough to beat Allen kind of level skill. However, I'm just going to, when it all comes down to a push and you're left with the coaches, it's got to be Doug Peterson. He's crafty. I don't know how he did that Eagles run with Nick Foles, and I don't. If he makes the Super Bowl, then it will be another one of those things where it's just like he just knows how to pull the right strings on his players and pull the right strings to make the worst of his opponents. All right, next game, Sunday 1:00 game. I want to say ? Miami versus Buffalo. This game is atrocious. It is -13. Buffalo at home, 43.5 point total. And it's just Skylar Thompson's out there. The Dolphins were fun, and here we are now.
Dude, what do you mean? They put up 11 points last week. Chill out. Listen, this is a very, very simple response for me. Over 43.5. The vast majority of those points are coming from the Bills. I think they wipe them up. I think this is a total backdoor cover.
And I said when December hit, the Dolphins weren't going to be good. Lo and behold, they didn't win a game in December.
Hey, Tua got knocked out again. Okay,
that did not happen in December, or well, I guess it did the end of December last week. But still, best team. It doesn't age well with the season because it gets cold and it gets windy and it gets uncomfortable. You know where it gets the worst? In Buffalo. I'll give it to you. I can see Tyreek Hill and I can see Jalen Waddle making one play each or something and getting a 60-yard touchdown. But again, that's going to be Buffalo in lax coverage, and they don't care. They're going to be watching run into the end zone to lose, 30-7. So,
like I said, this isn't a backdoor. This is a backdoor total. This is not a backdoor coverage of 13. Just seems like a lot.
It is, and I'm still taking it. So,
yeah.
That's my side. I don't think either of us are happy to bet this game, but we told you we're coming in here and we're making bets because we believe and we know stuff. Let's go on.
We went perfect last week. 12 out of 14. Come on.
All right, we got Giants versus Minnesota. It's so sad. This is the game of the week. Dude, I know Dallas versus Tampa Bay is going to get a better drawing, but I think this is actually the best football game that's going to be on. And it's because it's going to be so sloppy and bad on both sides.
I can't believe I'm doing both of these. I cannot believe that I'm picking both of these. And I know I
can't believe I'm looking at this thing. And did you listen to my underdog pick? What are you doing?
I don't care about your underdog pick. And also, I hate them. So I'm actually going to go against that. Listen, this is crazy to me that Minnesota's even in the playoffs. 2 years. So think about this. For 2 years, I think they have the most one-score games, in whatever it is, 30, whatever that is, 35-plus games. They have the most one-score games. Doesn't say they won or lost both of them. They lost most of them last year. They won most of them this year. So at a minimum, this can be a coin flip game for whether or not who you think is going to win. And I'll take the Giants plus the points here. Louis Riddick said that he watched film. Now, this is a tweet, so sorry, Lou. Thank you, Louis. I like you. You're a former GM guy, a former, safety for the Browns. Shout out Browns. But he said he watched film and just watched guys go just wide open all over the field. That tells me two things. One, we're going to start over next time. Like next time we record, I'm just going to start from scratch. I left my computer up this time, and it just kind of has been sitting for a week, but it's been on. I'm going to start over completely. Turn the thing off. Restart.
No problem.
Back to this.
Oh, wait, was it my turn to go? I thought you had more. You sounded like you had more.
Oh, yeah. I was basically what I'm telling you is exactly what you're going to say, and we have the same exact thing, except I'm taking two picks on this. I'm taking both. I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the Giants.
Yeah, I'm just over here this is going to be way too conservative of a game. I'm not over here
hedging because I really think that the under is going to hit, and I'm also whatever. Let's say the only way that the over hits on this is if the Vikings win. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm like, whatever. I'll take the opposite side.
Yeah, I just keep waiting for a Vikings game to go the way they want, to be where both teams try to run the ball. They each run the ball 30 times, and the Vikings end up winning by a field goal late, 20-17. So
Yeah.
I'm just taking the under here. I wish I could bet the Vikings. They just play too many close one-score games. Like, I can see this ending 21-20 and the Vikings winning. I could see it ending 23-22, or a ridiculous score that, one of the scoregamis out of nowhere comes in. This is a headbaner. I don't get it. The Giants aren't good. They have no way to answer Justin Jefferson. KJ Osborne, like I said, coming on. I believe in this passing attack, do some things, but I am just going to bet hard against Daniel Jones and the Giants offense to move the ball under 48.5, highest total of the weekend. I don't get why that's the case. All right, Sunday night game, Bengals versus the Ravens. You and I were both on the Bengals last week, I think. We both had Cincinnati -7, and we were both right because the Ravens looked awful. Lamar is likely out for reasons we detailed before. Connor, what are you doing?
To be fair, actually, I had the over last week is what happened, and I hit that too. But guess what? I'm going to be taking the over again this week. Yes, I get it. I think that, yes, it's actually, I think it was over 42.5 last week. Yeah. They hit barely, but the Bengals had 24 or 27 at halftime and ended up with 27. So, again, thank you, Zach Taylor, for making all of my fears potentially come true. Again, I know we keep talking about this, but he can't – I don't want to say that. He shouldn't. He should just let Joe Burrow let it rip, and they're going to put up a ton of points. He did in the first half. They got they got a ton of turnovers, to be fair, from Anthony Brown. He threw 2 picks, but I don't know how the total goes down after they put up more points last week. Anthony Brown shouldn't make those stupid decisions again this week. I say that kind of, jokingly, but he should not make those decisions again. He should learn. And they put up 17 in the second half, or they put up what? No, they put up at least 14 in the second half or whatever it was. So he can move the offense down the field. They're going to probably take some positives away from that. I think they're still going to put up points. If I was going to bet the spread, it would definitely be the Bengals, but I think they should run up the score, and I think they will. I think, again, streakiness. I think these guys are just going to be angry. I think they're going to let it rip, and I think that they are out to prove that they got screwed over. And as long as Zach Taylor doesn't get in the way, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, so I have the Bengals -8.5 here, and I did it a lot because, to your point, the over hit, and the Bengals played poorly offensively. Joe Burrow missed a wide-open T. Higgins for a 40-yard touchdown. He also
dropped a wide-open one. Yeah.
He underthrew Jamar Chase for another 40-yard touchdown. I think those drives ended in field goals, or they took more time to score a touchdown. It doesn't matter. The point is they left meat on the bone, and they still had a comfortable dynamite win. I think, to your point, they come out again and are just like, hey, we got home field, guys. Thanks for saying we're going to have to flip a coin or something stupid for this. And they're going to come out and they're just going to mollywop these guys once more. The Ravens just can't keep up.
He dropped a wide open 40-yard bomb in the second half. They didn't put up many points. They put up no points in the second half, I think. Again, those two things that you were talking about happened in the first half. Yep. It means they also, I don't know what it was. I don't know why you just don't come back to it. Zach Taylor, again, sucking at decision-making. But keep going. Light those things up again. It clearly was working. I don't know if he just kind of let the game come to him. Baltimore had some long drives that ended in points, but playing not to lose.
Don't show things that you're going to do next week, maybe. I don't know. But I'm with you. Also, when you have a backup quarterback in and you start doing things and start being productive, I think it's a bad thing for a good, smart defensive coordinator. So I think the Bengals are actually going to come out and they're going to be like, all right, this is what Anthony Brown did good last game. We're going to take those away now. And it's just going to be even harder for them to move the ball. So I'm here, Bengals -8.5. It's just, at some point, this is wild card weekend, and this is the kind of games you get when you let a lot of teams in. Anyways, Dallas versus Tampa Bay, last game, Monday night game, actually. I love that they did this. Just give us another day of football. We have Tampa Bay 2.5-point home underdogs. 45.5 is the total. All right, where are you going?
All right, so I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to how crappy Dak was last week. Fair. I think it's a little bit warranted. I get that. But I think I'm not going to pick against Tom Brady in the playoffs for a spread. So I'm not touching the spread on this one. But I think he lights him up and throws the ball 50-plus times a game. If and only if. I probably wouldn't bet this game if we weren't betting every game this week. But if they can do anything to block Micah Parsons, that's the only wild card here. This is the only question mark curveball that could happen. If they can block Micah Parsons, I think Tom can light them up because Trayvon Diggs guesses a lot. We know that. But they have not had another good corner. Anthony Brown, I think. Anthony Brown? Is there another Anthony Brown? I think there's an Anthony Brown on their team, too. Has been okay at best. And you have 2.5. Let's call it 2.5. 2 All-Pro guys and Russell Gage. Whatever you think of Russell Gage. And Tom Brady. And Todd Bowles, man. I think he should not be a head coach. I think he's kind of sucked at being a head coach this year. For the big picture offensive things, big decision-making, whatever. He doesn't strike me as an incredible leader, motivator. He strikes me as a brilliant mind. And defensively, if you have a brilliant mind, let him just focus on that. That's a whole different conversation. However, let Tom do Tom. Go ahead and let you do the defense and get after. Stop the run first, and then get after Dak. I think they do. But guess what? That's great. All of that still to me means I think Tom's putting up points.
Yeah. I don't like the Cowboys. I bet against them. Actually, I took Washington -6.5 last week on an alt spread. Made a killing on it. It was awesome. And it's just the Cowboys, they just let you down. I've never seen a team more dependent on their formula to win. The Giants, even, they can win. They depend on their formula, but somehow they found other ways to win. But the Cowboys we need to get pressure on your quarterback. And we need to run the ball offensively. There's no way around it. They can't rely on Dak to throw, and they can't rely on their coverage unit to stop people if it's the pass rush isn't there. I think Tom Brady is famous for neutralizing a pass rush with quick throws. The Buccaneers have had extreme success against Dak Prescott since he's been the quarterback of the Cowboys. I think they're undefeated against him. I think they come out, they stop the run, they force the ball into Dak's hands, and this ends up. I could see this. I don't want to say it's going to be a low-scoring game, but it's not going to be a comfortable game for the Cowboys. And I think the Buccaneers keep it close enough to cover the 2.5 at home. If it's a close game late, I mean, who are you going to bet on? Tom Brady, right? He's going to keep it close enough.
Yeah, but also I agree with all that. But if you remember, they had a shootout. I think it was opener of last year. Shootout. Dallas went to Tampa.
Was it a shootout, or was it Dallas put up some garbage time points? Let me check it out real quick. Because I remember, it was 31-29, and I thought the Buccaneers were up 28-3 or something.
Yeah,
no,
I get
it
a
wasn't
different
that
offensive
bad.
line, fine, but I think I have a little bit of memory of that game maybe sticking here and why I think 45.5 will hit. Listen, on paper, maybe I'm just going on paper and who's on the other team. The Cowboys should be able to throw all over this team. CD has been a surprise. Hand up. I thought he was going to be mediocre this year. I thought he was going to be okay. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was. He even started out really poor at the beginning of the year, and then he turned it on way late. So I'll give him that. I gotta think here, man. Dak. Maybe it's just because I think, Dak, you have no other choice. Everyone hates you right now. Don't be hated. At least be good on offense. That's it.
Dude, Dak went from the apple of everyone's eye to just like everyone's like, yeah, you're the reason this team is losing, and I stand by. The year he was 11-0, they should have put Tony Romo in because I think they win. I don't know who won. I can't remember who won the Super Bowl that year, but I think they make it to the Super Bowl or are competitive.
Can't remember.
I think that was the Falcons. I think that was the Falcons 28-3 year.
I don't know, man. This is total feeling here. Like I said, we're betting every game this week. Maybe it's me being biased and just wanting points in the playoffs. Could be. I'm not confident in this bet. Again, hand up. Not confident.
He's going to be doing. He'll probably disagree and get them all wrong like he did last year.
All right, so final thing. Put a parlay on every single bet I just gave you.
Don't do parlays. That's just you are just like, hey, here's my money. Unless it's free bets. Unless it's free bets, then you try to get the huge payouts.
Yep.
All right. So you got our Super Bowl picks. You heard Lamar Jackson's going to be the best quarterback in the NFC next year, sorry. And you got all of our picks for the week. Going to cash them in, make money. That's all I got.
Come back next week.
Come back next week for another set of free money when we give you the picks. All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Free money. That's our new show.
Free